What is up, guys? I want to start this video off by talking about this awesome message I got out of this TED Talks by Stefan Dunyer. I'll link it below. He gives his audience an awesome high-res, like crazy looking picture of Brad Pitt. It was a drawing, and he asks his audience, how many of you guys can draw this? And of course, a normal person like me can't draw that. Obviously, they don't raise their hands, blah, blah, blah. And then he gives them a picture of just like a gray box, like a gray square. And then he's like, hey, how many of you guys can draw this? And of course, everyone laughed because anyone can do that. This crazy idea that you have in your head, accomplishing that main goal, in order to do that, you got to accomplish these small little tasks, which are those little gray squares. Just finish those, and I promise you, you'll achieve anything you set your mind and heart to. Sometimes it might get a little hard to keep track of all the tasks that you have to do in order to post your next video, do your little research, and actually that leads us into the app that I'm about to review. It's called Trello. Let's dive right into it. This is Trello. And a little background about applications like this. They're usually used for companies that are making websites. Let's just say that you're a company making Facebook. In order for you to make the entirety of Facebook, you have to break it down into chunks. This goes back to that example at the beginning of the drawing and the square box. In order to accomplish making an entire website, you have to break it down into components, and then those components into smaller pieces of workable chunks. And this application can help you out just like it's helping me out with this. So let's dig into it. Before we dive in and create a board together, I want to give you guys a preview of how mine looks. Now, I call mine app reviews, and basically it starts off with a section I like to call to do. This is generally very common to have the first column to be things that you need to do. You can prioritize those however you like, and then once you are ready to start working on something, you would move it into the next column. Mine is called preparing. In this, I do all of the research and stuff for my apps. Once I've done all that, it would move into the next column, which in my case is recording. This is when obviously I do my recordings and get everything prepared for the next column, which is making the video, editing it, doing all the audio work, everything like that. Then once it's been posted, that's when I move it to the next column. Like my column is stating, it would be social media. So to me, that's like posting on social media, so to make sure that I'm advertising my post so that it can be spread out and things like that. Once I've done that, it is completely done and I am done with that card. It has been marked complete. Then you would go all the way back and start working on your next task. All right, so let's go ahead and create a board. We're gonna make it pretty simple. You guys can customize it however you like. Start off by pressing the plus button on the top right. Now it's gonna ask you to basically create a project name. We'll call it my project. Cool. We'll keep it private. You can make it public. Do as you will. Go ahead and go back to the boards. Let's choose a background color. You can have any color you'd like. We'll go ahead and put a photo so we got a little bit of a flavor in this. All right, let's go ahead and create that board. Now it's going to take you right to your board and it's going to ask you to create a list. Now, a list is basically your first section on the board. Let's call it to do. We're going to create 3 sections. We're going to call this in progress. And then we'll call the last one done. All right. So let's say these are your 3 stages for your goals. Okay. Now, within the first one, let's add a little task. My first task. Okay, let's also add my second task. Let's go ahead and add my third task. All right, now that we have some tasks created, let's go ahead and mess with the first one. Okay. As you can see, you can add a description to the task. We can just put a description. This is my first task in Trello. Great. You can add due dates. So when do we want this done by? Let's just say tomorrow. Doesn't matter, you can set it to whatever time. There's quick actions on the bottom as well. And then you can also clear any decisions you've made and whatnot. But for our sake, we'll go ahead and do it for Saturday. Sure. Let's go ahead and click done. Label. Now, let me tell you what label is. It's basically color coding your tasks. Let's say that there's a task that you cannot complete right now. For instance, you need to go downtown or something like that. Your car's broken. You can label it red. So that means, hey, I cannot complete this task right now. But since we can complete our first task, we'll just color it green. And basically, you can color it any color you want for any reason you want. I'm just giving an example. You can also create names for specific labels and add those as well. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with what's already there, but you do have that option. Let's go ahead and add that. So we're going to go ahead and add a member. If you were to have more members or friends or anything that are working on some project or anything, even the goals with you, you can have their accounts in here and you can add them. But since it's only me, we'll go ahead and check us. And then we're going to go ahead and create a checklist. Now, since this is my first task, I might have checklists in order to complete that task, right? So let's say I need to, my first checklist could be create a Trello chillin', and we'll keep Trello checklist. Done. Okay, we'll also go ahead and show YouTube the Trello checklist. All right, we can also go ahead and create a last item check, whatever, the checklist. Done. Now basically these are things that you can check off once you've completed them, so you know you have completed them. And as I accidentally just did, you can either delete a checklist or convert it into a card of its own. So let's assume that one of these checklists became a bigger problem or issue or event or situation, anything that is going to take a lot more of your time and you might need to make sub checklists of that. You can just go ahead and create a little card out of it. We'll go ahead and do that. And then let's just check off the last item on the checklist. Whoops. All right. Now you see how under activity it records everything. This is very common in apps like these. They want to log everything that's going on with the checklist so they can track what's been happening with it. If there are any comments, which we'll add right now, here is a comment that will be logged in the activity section. Save. See, my comment is now stored under the activity section, and honestly, this is a completed task in the to-do section. As you can see now, I'm back on the board and my first card looks completely different now. It's color coded. It has 2 out of 2 checks complete. It has 1 comment. It even shows when it's due. And then the little icon with my image right there is who has ownership of it. So let's go ahead and pick this up and move it over here into in progress. Now, one thing that I wanted to say about any little card on your board, you can go ahead and prioritize them however you like. Since this card right here, show YouTube the Trello checklist, remember that's the one that was a checklist and we created a card out of it. Now that might be important because it sort of originated from your main first task or whatever the task may have been. So you might want to prioritize that above any other task under your specific to-do card or in progress or any other card that is. Now, we have this in progress. Honestly, this is probably the first. You might have had a bit more checklist items that you would have checked off, and they would have been done in here, but needless to say, we're just showing the progression of this card. Maybe, you know, right now I am technically doing this. I'm, you know, listing the checklist, creating a checklist, blah blah blah. As I'm doing it, it's in progress. Now that I've completed it, it'll go into done, and we have completed our first task. See how easy that was, guys? I did it in about 10 minutes, and that's how easy it is to complete tasks. Now, generally what you'd want to do is go ahead and pick up your next task and put it in progress, and then start working on it. If there isn't anything added to it, any details you probably want to add into it, and move on forward with your tasks. Now think of these little tasks as those little squares in a bigger picture. Once you start knocking these little tasks out, and we just saw how easy it is if you just put your mind and put your time to it, how easy it can be to accomplish these tasks, imagine what else you can accomplish. And like I said at the beginning, generally software companies or companies with bigger projects would be utilizing this tool, but I wanted to give enough information for a normal person like myself who can utilize this in their daily life or to accomplish some specific goals. If you're trying to make YouTube videos, you can obviously follow my project settings and all that sorts. Now it is up to you. Go ahead and get it, draw your first square, and knock out some goals. For those of you that are a bit more curious about the app, I will put some links and a little bit more in the description below. Now you guys have a chance to win something if you can figure out what changed in the background. Put all of your guesses in the comment section below, and I'm gonna pick a random winner. Good luck.